Music is spiritual. You know, if you don't miss it, you're gonna realize it's spiritual. You can miss it though. You know what I mean? But if you're in tune and you're present enough, you're gonna be like, it's vibration.
I stay true and never switch sides. Big stepper when I step with God, you know it's big vibes. Everything big. Big love, big faith, big trust, big grace, give praise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I is on the rise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I is on the rise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I got God by my side. I'm just walking in my truth and staying God-like. I'm divine light, you know I gotta shine bright. And everything is working in my favor. I don't chase paper, I'm blessed and highly favored. Moving in a flow state. Stand still, I know everything is okay. Let's keep it real, I know everything is so fake. And so I'm moving at a marathon, slow pace. TMC, I got drive like the DMV. I and I is on my side, I see he and me. Big vibes on this side, I'm just being me. Big God on my side and we like TNT. Dynamite, I am out of sight. Diamond mind got me shining bright. I'm the sun, I'm the light of lights. I am the one, I'm the brightest light. He and I and I, and I and I. You know the vibes. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I is on the rise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I is on the rise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I got God by my side. And everything is elevation. Every single step, every single breath is like a meditation. Every time I flow, I'm going better places. Every single word is filled with dedication, love, and devotion. Big heart chakra open, I'm in motion. Big peace and big focus. Meditative mind state, I'm closer than the closest. I know peace is just a breath away, and heaven is a step away. I'm telling Jah to bless the way, healing all my sorrows and my stress away. Forget about tomorrow, ain't no yesterday. Big vibes in the present. Be here, be now, and keep stepping. Big vibes in the present. Be here, be now, be love, and keep stepping. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I is on the rise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I and I is on the rise. Big vibes on this side. Big vibes on this side. I got God by my side.
It's the word. If you read the Bible in the beginning, it was the word. That's the first thing that the Bible says. You know what I mean? So the power of the word is intense. It's real.
I got God by my side.
So to try to make music and separate it from a spiritual thing, I don't think it's possible.
Most high music.
Music is spiritual.
I got grace, had to throw away the self-hate, staring all my demons in the face, moving on divine time, a nigga never late, follow my fate, had to learn life ain't a race, slow down, I'm trusting the process of my pace, I call upon my ancestors, cause I need you, we healing every night and day, and they see it, yeah, then the sky raining blessings down, I'm receiving, oh wow, oh wow. Focus on the present moment, in the sunshine, glowing. All of my energy potent, all of my energy flowing. shedding my light on the darkness. Sacred the path that I'm walking. I'm back in my bag and they know it. From conception I knew I was chosen. I'm destined for greatness, but had to let go of entitlement. Used to be so
all right. Welcome back, everybody, to the Jesus40 Challenge. Y'all asked, we delivered, and here we are. A couple of days later, we've been really putting our foot to the gas pedal, James, to get this challenge put together in a neat, orderly way. Big thanks and big shout out to the 4D University team for helping us with that, because we've got a really simple system for you guys if you want to enter the challenge or just participate for your own fun and enjoyment. We're going to be taking you guys through the challenge today, what it looks like, outlining it, and showing you how to access the challenge. Of course, the link is in the description below. And where do we want to get started today, James? Anything you want to say to kick us off?
Well, I know in my own life, there's been periods where I just needed some kind of catalyst, some catalyst for positive transformation.
For sure.
And we could all use that kick in the butt sometimes. And this is what you've been looking for. If you commit to this, you can truly transform your life in 40 days, mentally, physically, spiritually, come out a new person. And I know over the course of my life, when I've committed to things like this, it's always so transformative, and you really get to know yourself and you strengthen your connection with the Creator. So yeah, I'm super stoked and grateful for everyone joining.
Yeah, I've had a lot of good friends over the years doing some of the big fad fitness challenges or diet challenges. There's like the Whole30 challenge, which is really great. And there was Hard 75. And now, my friends, the Jesus40 has taken over. This is the new fitness challenge on the block. And actually, it's not a fitness challenge. It's a whole system challenge, body, mind, and spirit. Because the kind of premise of it for us is that we want to teach you or show you how to live like an Essene as close as possible in our modern day for the next 40 days. And of course, the reason it's 40 days is in, shout out to Jesus's 40 days in the wilderness. But the idea is that there's a dietary regimen. There's a fitness protocol, if you want to call it that. And then there's a spiritual element to the challenge as well, which we'll be taking you through. But in terms of the diet and exercise portion, we're going to be doing, as we said, a weight loss challenge where there's going to be we're going to pick the top 3 winners of the challenge, who are going to win some really cool prizes and obviously get recognition on the podcast. But the number 1 winner, we're going to bring onto the podcast to do a 15, 20 minute or so conversation with you to just question you and interview you about your weight loss journey, whoever this person ends up being. And we're going to do it, by the way, based on the percentage of weight lost, not just the total number of weight, because all weight loss challenges are kind of skewed towards the more overweight people have the bigger advantage, which I think is kind of cool, right? We want to motivate the people who are the most unhealthy for sure. But we're going to slant it a little less in that direction as much as we can by judging the competition based on percentage of body weight lost, not just total body weight lost, which still favors the more overweight people than the less, but not by as much. So it's just a really fun way to, as James said, get you guys to stoke the fire and get you guys excited about committing to a new diet lifestyle protocol, which again, you're just trying out for 40 days. And even if you're a meat eater, guys, the premise of the challenge is the Jesus diet for 40 days. That's number 1. And as we've said in our last few episodes on the Jesus diet, it is a unique dietary protocol in that it requires first and foremost a spiritual commitment, an internal commitment to the Creator, where you say, God, I will no longer harm your living creatures. I will do no harm as a new axiom to live by. That's the golden rule. Do unto others as you would wish others to do unto you. Really easy to go around killing and eating animals because, whatever, they can't think like I think. No big deal. But if you were suddenly trapped in an animal's body and people were running around trying to grab you and kill you and eat you, you'd be absolutely horrified for your life and running for your life as animals do. And so we don't want to do that to somebody if we didn't want that to be done unto us. And so we accept that axiom as the premise of the diet. And once you accept that axiom of, yes, I believe this is the highest spiritual law to live by, as Yeshua said himself, then everything else becomes a whole lot easier and more obvious and intuitive. So we're just asking you, even if you are still a meat eater and you haven't been convinced by our copious amounts of philosophical, theological, biological arguments and so forth against flesh consumption. No problem. We're just asking you to take the challenge to not eat flesh for 40 days. And then if you're like, hey, I did it for 40 days, it was awful, my spirituality dropped, my health dropped, I got to go back on meat, then no problem, you can go back on meat. But we think that if you try this, you'll be very convinced that dropping flesh consumption from your diet has an enormous amount of benefits, spiritual, mental, and physical. Physical being, of course, the longevity benefits, that meat is the number one food source that ages us rapidly and lowers our lifespan. There is no debating that. We've proven that in our previous episodes. Mental is that flesh consumption contributes to a whole lot of entropy and negative energy in our bodies and in our minds, because we're eating the karma of the animals that have been tortured their whole lives. And spiritual, you commit to the golden rule axiom and say, now I understand the law of one. All is one. I am no more important to the creator than an animal is. I'm supposed to treat all beings as equal in God's eyes. If God is unconditionally loving, James, doesn't that mean that there cannot be a boundary where God's love stops? God's love cannot stop at an animal and say, no problem, slaughter them, kill them, genocide them, eat them, drink their blood, eat their flesh. That would not be unconditional love. And so we don't put conditions on our love either. That's the premise of the Jesus diet. It is a spiritual commitment first and foremost. So you're going to do that for 40 days. And then we also have a fitness component, which we'll show you. And it's pretty simple, but we do try to keep it as close to an Essene type of lifestyle as we can, which to us is focused primarily on walking. Walking is kind of like the new running, right, James, in terms of weight loss. Most fitness-minded people now are preferring walking 10,000, 20,000 steps a day as the primary form of fat loss because, like eating fruit, it is very, very muscle sparing. So when we combine eating a lot of fruit with doing a lot of walking, we're primed and locked and loaded to have an amazing recomp. And that's what the Jesus diet does so well. And then third and final is the spiritual element. So you're not going to be tested, or in the challenge, you're not going to be weighed and measured based on, did you do your contemplative prayer and get your sunlight? Did you do your exercises? We're not going to judge your exercise regimen. We're just going to judge how much weight you lost, right? But all three components of the challenge contribute to that. So if you want to be all in, you're going to commit to all three components, which they're all fairly simple, but it's the simple things we do, right, James? Consistently, day by day, we make a small step towards truth, a small step towards health and wholeness each day. And after 40 days, we look back and go, wow, I've come a very long way.
Amen. And we did our best to make this very biblically rooted. Moses fasted for 40 days. Elijah fasted for 40 days. Jesus 40 days in the wilderness. Jesus and the disciples were walking everywhere. I mean, they were walking and eating everywhere. Fruit. That's how they rolled. And, you know, besides the physical benefits of walking, it's just a incredible time for meditation and prayer. And I don't know about you, but I've had some of the best insights of my life when I've been walking, when I've been strolling in nature. So there's something actually very spiritual about walking. And then the last component I'll add is that this is also very rooted in the Daniel fast. So if you're not familiar with that story, when the Israelites were in exile, some of the top Israelites went to Babylon, and one of them was Daniel, and they were in the king's court, and they were fed the king's food. So alcohol and meat and rich foods, they described it as. And Daniel
like the American diet.
Yeah, exactly. And Daniel refused this. And he said, just give me 10 days to live on water and vegetables, which is similar to this diet. And let's see what happens. And what happens in the Bible? Daniel and his compatriots are stronger, healthier, and they look healthier. They're stronger. And it became clear to the king that, wow, there's something here. So this is very biblically rooted. And even if you want to go back on meat, hey, do this Daniel fast-esque program, and I think you'll you'll see some tremendous benefits physically, mentally, spiritually.
Absolutely, man. One of the other things we wanted to mention is you don't have to obviously be participating in the weight loss challenge. That's just a fun aspect of it that we're really using to motivate people who are, the most down the unhealthy part of the spectrum to really get things corrected a bit. And this challenge is a great way of doing that. But the challenge, in a nutshell, is for you to see how this lifestyle can really transform your life. And I want to say something about that, James, because we emphasize fruit first and foremost. I saw somebody comment about, oh, can I have this or that, junk food, ice cream, this and this and that. Another huge, I think, spiritual and physical benefit of fruit is that fruit notoriously, when you're eating high fruit diet, it will curb your cravings for junk food quite a bit. Because as we explained in our second episode on the nutritional science of the Jesus diet, the body needs glucose for everything. The body's primary fuel source is glucose. And yet, James, what is the most demonized molecule in America?
Glucose, sugar.
Glucose. So Houston, we have a problem, right? If the number one preferred fuel source of the body is bad for you, then God made an evil or a stupid or something like that universe. So we don't buy that here. We say, no, sugar is amazing for you when it's taken in the correct way, according to natural law, the way God intended. God never intended for us to pull all the sugar out of fruits and stuff them into cakes and bagels and cookies and ice cream, and then get our sugar from those sources with tons of fat, right? That's a violation of natural law. So that's not sugar, right? When people say, oh, avoid sugary foods. Oh, you mean like donuts, cakes, Pop-Tarts? Yeah, that's not real sugar. That's not a real sugar source. That's a manufactured, man-made, processed piece of food. And so, of course, it's not good for you. But you've got to give a caveat when you say, oh, sugar bad, avoid sugar. It's like, no. Eat lots and lots of sugar in the form that God created it, which is fruit. When we eat an abundance of fruit, we are literally just eating an abundance of energy, prana, light codes from the sun. Sugar is light codes from the sun, sunlight essentially, trapped in a molecular form through the process of photosynthesis. So fruit sugar is incredibly magical in its benefits. And one of the things it does is it lowers our cravings, because our whole body craves glucose. Your brain, your liver, your thyroid, everything, your muscles are desperate for glucose and will even break down your muscle to create it if you don't give it to it. That's called gluconeogenesis, right? Your body will eat away your muscle tissue to make sugar out of it to function the rest of your body off of it. That's how important sugar is to your body. So we might as well give our body an abundance of the fuel at once. And when we do that, what happens? We notice we don't crave the junk food so much anymore. Why? Because the body doesn't need sugar anymore. It's got an abundance of sugar. So sugar satiates cravings, lowers cortisol, lowers inflammation, drives up dopamine, and therefore you don't have cravings. You don't want junk food anymore. So fruit is healing in terms of your relationship to food and your relationship to nature and creation itself. And in fact, I have a program, James, in 4D University that I'm launching on Thursday, which is called 4DAP, which stands for Fourth Density Ascension Protocol. And it is a Kundalini awakening program. It's a 12-week program that teaches you and shows you through a kind of daily, twice daily practice you do, how to safely and gradually awaken Kundalini and raise it to the crown. And this is the process of becoming a fourth density being or a Christ conscious being, living from the heart chakra, right? And that's what this shirt is. Green ray activated means heart chakra activated. And in 4DAP, James, in this program, I stress this dietary regimen very heavily because fruit is jet fuel for Kundalini. And you can only really appreciate this once you're going through a Kundalini awakening. Glucose and fructose are Kundalini's preferred fuel source. So one of the first things I teach our students in this program is, if you want to really ramp up Kundalini energy, just eat a bunch of fruit, because you'll notice, oh baby, it starts to ramp up real quick. And in fact, it can ramp up so quick that you have to taper it down a little bit. And so to taper the energy down, if Kundalini is too active and hot in the nervous system, and it's a bit too much for you, I say, stop eating fruit, like lower your fruit intake and eat more of the denser foods like eggs or milk or whatever. And so you can literally self-pace Kundalini's activity just based on your fruit intake. That's how powerful fruit is. It's got the light codes in it, right? You're taking in pure prana from the sun, and Kundalini says, thank you very much. And if you guys are interested in that program, there's a link in the description below where you can check out our webinar on it on Thursday. The whole program is predicated first on the dietary approach. If you are approaching a Kundalini awakening with an unhealthy physical body, you're kind of setting yourself up for failure, because Kundalini is a purifying process. So she's going to exacerbate all the imbalances. So getting healthy first is of paramount importance for spiritual evolution. It's so difficult to evolve spiritually and truly raise your consciousness to the fourth density level if you're in a sick, unhealthy body, if you feel like shit all the time. It's virtually impossible. But likewise, if you feel amazing in your body, if you're in peak optimum health, thriving, full of energy and ATP, yeah, spiritual evolution is going to happen whether you like it or not. I mean, fruit is so powerful at causing spiritual evolution, James, that I even tell people in the program, if you really want to kick off a Kundalini awakening, you could probably do it just by eating an abundance of fruit and spending a lot of time out in nature, in the sun, out with nature. Those two things will probably start blasting off most people's Kundalinis here and begin that process. That's how potent they are. So physical health is the name of the game for spiritual health. And that is the whole purpose of why we're doing this challenge. We want to show you guys this firsthand so that you can experience it and realize, wow, I really do want to prioritize my physical health and well-being as much as my spiritual health, because they're actually the same thing.
Aaron, can you get into a bit how Kundalini relates to the Jesus way? Because I know a lot of my Christian friends say that Kundalini is demonic and anti-Christian. So can you clarify that point? Because I'm sure there's some people wondering about it. What is even Kundalini and how does it relate to the way?
Yeah, it's funny you asked that, because I'm posting a video tomorrow titled, "Did Jesus Have an Awakened Kundalini?" It's part of my Mystical Jesus series. So if you're watching this after September 23rd, if it's the 24th or after, you can actually go to my YouTube channel and find the video right now to watch it. But yeah, it is so interrelated, because Kundalini is our heart chakra coming online in the nervous system. So when enough spiritual development happens, which really is through the Jesus way, right? Loving God with all your heart, loving your neighbor as yourself, being of service to others, being humble. When you live this way, it puts tremendous pressure on the heart chakra to activate. And so you start living from the frequency of love more and more. And Kundalini, James, is an interesting phenomenon that requires two very specific criteria. And if you don't have both, it's virtually impossible to awaken Kundalini. That is, number one, heart chakra activation, as we said. Number two is sexual energy preservation. You have to preserve your sexual energy, which is definitely part of the Jesus way, right? Jesus spoke out against fornication and these things. Whoever even looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. When you preserve your sexual energy, you're creating a kind of static field in the root chakra, in the bottom energy centers, which builds up more and more. And eventually, when you combine that with a activated heart chakra, when you're living a lifestyle of love and devotion to God, then those energies begin to meet. The downward spiraling energy coming from the cosmos through the crown, which is charging up the heart chakra. When you awaken your heart chakra, you need more cosmic prana through the crown to charge it up, because the heart chakra is one of the three upper centers, right? The three upper centers take the energy from the crown, from the cosmos, the masculine energy. The three lower centers take the energy from the feminine, the earth, or sexual energy, to charge them up. So you want to charge both upper and lower poles of the energy body, North Pole, South Pole, and that's preserving sexual energy, activating the heart chakra. And at a certain point, those energies join at the root and begin to sublimate up the spine. And so those sexual energies you preserve get sublimated up the spine. And this is the whole sacred secretion Christ oil process that people talk about. As Kundalini rises up the 33 vertebrae, right? Eventually, it saturates the brain for a while. And this is where your brain, your nervous system, is getting upgraded to Christ consciousness. In the Christian religion especially, oil is often used to anoint, right? People like this, they'll do it on your forehead, right over your third eye. And I'm like, I don't think they know what this is hearkening back to.
Symbolic.
Oil on yeah. The third eye, the pineal gland gets so saturated in this nectar that's coming up from the spine that it eventually starts to drip down the back of the throat, and you start swallowing it. And it's a little bit like mucus, but it's got a much more salty taste to it, or a sweeter taste rather. And it's a very interesting part of the process, I'll say, but it's making its way down into the gut. It's why it's dripping down the back of the throat. So you swallow it, and then it goes into your gut, which is like the second hub of your nervous system. First is the brain, second is the gut, and it saturates your gut in this sacred secretion. So this has been called the sacred secretion of the Christ oil for thousands of years now, because it's just another way of describing Kundalini. And so what is Christ consciousness in a nutshell? It's heart-based consciousness. It's living from the heart, as Yeshua did. Yeshua was a heart-based being with a fully activated green ray energy center, which means he had a fully awakened Kundalini. And I'd be willing to bet that eating lots of fruit, probably figs and so forth, was a big part of his diet, because he intuitively understood this fruit, this food source, is created by God to fuel the process of spiritual evolution. If you don't eat fruit and saturate the body with that golden prana from the sun, right, that's in fruit, then again, you're kind of dead in the water in terms of a Kundalini awakening and things like that.
Oh, so good. Yeah, we don't have it on our document, but sexual transmutation is really a core point of the Jesus way and the Jesus diet. And Aaron, I hope we'll do a full podcast on that topic, because I'm absolutely fascinated by it. And I know I've had the most spiritual growth in my life when I have been celibate and really working to purify my mind of any kind of lustful thoughts. So for everyone doing this, if you really want to get the most bang for your buck for the Jesus40 challenge, I really implore you to audit yourself and look into your mind and your habits around sex. Are you very reactive? Is it out of control, or are you conscious? Well, it just slipped my mind. I was about to say something.
Hate when that happens.
Yeah, it's just what I was going to say is total mind fart.
Wasn't meant to be, for whatever
Start
reason.
talking about sex and I'm just getting mind wiped.
Well, hey, if it comes back, interrupt me immediately, okay?
Yeah, I was just going to say that you will really get more benefits if you audit yourself, that part of your life, and just for 40 days. Yeah. And your connection with God will really be enhanced in a significant way.
Yeah, and so we're going to go through the challenge now, and we're going to do questions after we go through it, if you guys have questions remaining about this challenge. But going over this document should pretty much outline everything and detail everything for you guys. So the link is in the description already. When you click the link, it'll take you to this page, which is the landing page. So you punch in your email there. Whoops, where'd it go? Punch in your email here, first name and email. And then you'll get sent the PDF, which I will share my screen now. We'll go through the points of the challenge together. There it is. All right, how's that look? See if I can make that bigger somehow. Let me know in the chat, guys, if you want that to be a little bit bigger. We're going to read it off, but maybe I'll go, yeah. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, so here is the Jesus40 challenge. First is the daily fasting protocol. As we've said, we do a daily intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting means you have an 8-hour eating window. So if this is hard for you, you can push it to a 9 or a 10-hour eating window, but do not go beyond 10 hours. Ideally, keep it to 8 hours. We want to give our body lots of time not digesting food. Why is that? Because we want our body to have plenty of time and energy left over for cellular cleaning and cellular turnover and detoxification and autophagy and all those processes that create long, healthy lifespan, right? So you don't have to count morning coffee or tea or lemon water as the start of your eating window, but you should start your feeding window when you have your first piece of fruit or fruit juice. So whenever you have that first piece of fruit, count your window right there, right? So if that's 10 a.m., then your window would end at 6 p.m. So you'd have dinner right around 6 and then call it a night. On day 7, which preferably on the Sabbath, you can do Shabbat or you can do on Sunday, but you pick a 24-hour fast. So choose a water fast, a juice fast, or a fruit fast. So this would be fruit juice, obviously. You could do an orange juice fast, which are really amazing for your body, really amazing for cleansing the liver, by the way. Or you can just do fruit, like eating bananas and blueberries and stuff like that for a whole day, but nothing but fruit juice or fruit for these last two. So that's the fasting protocol. It's just the standard Jesus diet protocol. In fact, the whole nutritional part of this is, but we're just going over it again for you guys. Now let's get to the daily nutrition protocol. Can you read this, James, or should I do it?
Sure. The daily nutrition protocol. So in the morning, you have the fresh fruit, raw, preferably organic, fresh pressed juices, and or raw honey. And you're going to want to hydrate with water, fruit juice, or herbal teas. And then in the afternoon, we're going to shift a little bit. Aaron and I usually work out around lunchtime or a little later in the afternoon. And we find that's a good regimen because all of the fruit in the morning keeps your energy levels high and you can crush your workout. And then after that, you can have your first protein meal. So we like to do a protein shake or a smoothie, but you could also do some kind of salad or a lighter meal.
Let me jump in there real quick, James.
Mm-hmm.
We had a number of questions about this one, James, where people were saying, hey, what if I have to work out super early in the morning because I go to work and stuff? No problem. You can either work out fasted, or you can have a big thing of orange juice or fruit juice, or even a couple bananas when you first wake up. You can, if you want to get the benefits of working out with a glycogen-filled body, glycogen-filled muscles, it's better to work out at least like late morning, 9 a.m. Give yourself enough time, as James said, to fill your body with that glucose and fructose. This is a big reason why we said that we love doing a warm lemon water with some cane sugar or honey in the morning, maybe some salt to get those electrolytes, because your brain depletes 60 to 80% of its glucose every night when you sleep to give you that high quality REM and deep sleep, which is why people sleep so great when they're eating a high fruit diet like this. But you'll wake up with some brain fog, and so you just hit a quick glass of warm lemon water with some sugar or honey in it, and then boom, your brain just feels amazing, awake, you have alertness, you're tons of energy, you feel good. So you can go to the gym and work out like that, or have some fruit. But ideally, the more fructose you eat, the hotter your metabolism is going to be burning. So my preferred method when I'm cutting, James, is I'll eat a bunch of fruit and fruit juice until I start to get hot, like my body temperature rises. And then I go do my workout or my cardio, and I just dump sweat. And that's how I was able to burn so much body fat without losing muscle mass in about an 8 or 9 week period, because fructose is really powerful for inducing fat burning when you work out. So if you work out in the morning, that's what you can do. If you want to keep your fat and protein for 3 o'clock or later, as is kind of the protocol, then yeah, just keep crushing fruit after your workout. You don't need to have a bunch of protein right after the workout. If you miss the anabolic window, you're not going to lose any gains. That stuff is way overhyped and way over exaggerated in the fitness space. You just need to give your body its daily allotment of protein. And guess what, guys? Fruit and fruit juice is loaded with amino acids. And your body is very intelligent, James. It knows how to make proteins out of amino acids very well, which is, again, why there's so many jacked fruitarians who don't eat anything but fruit and still have a lot of muscle mass and look great. So no matter what your workout is, when it is, keep the protocol. Don't eat fruit or don't eat anything but fruit until at least noon, and preferably until 3 p.m. And again, why? Because we want to maximize the time that we're in that AMPK state with all those longevity hormones blasting through our body. FGF21, GDP15, AMPK. These are the hormones we want to give our body for the longest amount of time possible each day, so that we extend our lifespan, extend our youthfulness, feel younger, age slower, live longer. That's the power of fruit. I'll kick it back to you.
Boom. All right. And then moving on to the evening, the main meal, the main event. We like to do a combination of plant proteins, grains or starches, vegetables, a little bit of healthy fats, and then optionally adding in ethically sourced eggs or dairy if you can find them. But starting with plant proteins, we have options like lentils, chickpeas, beans, nut seeds. Aaron and I love seitan or Big Mountain. I recommended. They make a soy-free tofu made of fava beans, which is amazing. You don't need to add those. You can just use lentils or various types of beans, but we like throwing those in because they're really good. So that will be your main protein for your evening meal. Then
James, somebody in the chat just said fish or meat. It's like, you must be new here.
That's hilarious. Then we have whole grains or starches. So you could do quinoa, barley, white or brown rice, or you could even do sweet potatoes or red or russet potatoes if you want. It's complete flexibility. Vegetables, whatever you like. You could do lightly cooked, steamed, or raw. Aaron and I like to make kind of stir fries, kind of a mishmash of everything. It's just so delicious. And it's very satisfying. Now the healthy fats, my arch nemesis. You can use a little bit of olive oil, or you could use some avocado seeds or nuts. But I mentioned last time,
Italians love your olive oil, man.
dude, I'm a notorious overconsumer of olive oil. I was basically drinking the stuff. I'm like, why am I
When
not
James
losing
comes over,
weight?
I always catch him in my pantry just chugging my olive oil.
Just taking shots of olive oil.
Like, come on, bro. That stuff ain't cheap, man.
Dude, it's just how I grew up. You grew up, every meal we had, there'd be a big bowl of olive oil with some herbs and Parmesan cheese in it, and a loaf of the most delicious bread you've ever had, and you just sop the oil in it.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's the best. But
it totally violates the Jesus diet protocol.
Yeah, don't do that. Absolutely do not do that.
James, we were in Miami. We ate at that Italian restaurant. We were dipping the bread in the oil. And we were like, dude, we're totally breaking our dietary protocol right now.
It's sopping the bread.
You can do it once in a while, obviously.
Yeah. Save it for holidays. Anyways.
Yes.
And then optional, if you want to add a few eggs to your meals, you can crack them in the stir fry or poach them, whatever you want to do. But try and get backyard eggs or pasture raised eggs. There are some problems with those industries, but if you can find backyard eggs, there's websites online. Type in backyard eggs for your city, and you can find people around who just have pet chickens, and they're like part of the family. So that's your best option if you can.
Yeah, I like to get most of my fat, if I can, from eggs, because eggs have choline, as we talked about on the Q&A, I believe. Choline is a really essential nutrient that is, I think, highest really in eggs more than anything else. And it's not as high in plant foods. So eggs is a really good source of it. You can also supplement it. When I do a fruit fast day, like I'll just take a choline supplement pill. But yeah, eggs are a great source of fat. You get all the saturated fats and all the nutrient density in there, the vitamin D and stuff. But then the next part is kind of the macro split we wanted to go over as well, which is, if you're a calorie counter, you like to count your food to just make sure you're doing it right, then this is the split you're looking for. It's going to be about a 60-20-20 split. Super simple. 60% of your diet from carbohydrates, preferably fruit first, then whole grains, starches, and vegetables. 20% protein from the sources we've named already, and 20% fat. Now you would think, why would you keep protein and fat the same? But the answer is simple, because fat is more than twice as calorie dense than protein. And remember, it's actually kind of perfect right here with the words and the percentages. We have a high carbohydrate, or the Jesus diet is a high carbohydrate, moderate protein, and low fat diet. So there it is in the pyramid right there. And when you eat 20% fat, remember it's 9 calories per gram. So I did this on our Q&A, but I'll repeat it here for those listening. For me, for example, I can do the kind of table math. My maintenance calorie intake is about 2750, I believe. And so 60% carbs out of those calories checks out to about 400 grams, 413, I think, grams of carbohydrates. About 130 grams of protein, which is plenty of protein, and then about 60 grams of fat. So that's like a good maintenance macro split for me. And as I've said, if I want to lose body fat, I'll drop the fat down to about 30 grams and just up the carbs to make up for it. But ideally 60, 20, 20, you're going to be in the sweet spot. Whatever your calorie needs are, if you're a woman and you need about 1,500 calories, just do the calculations, right? What is 60% of 1,500 calories? That's how many calories you need from carbohydrates. So let's actually do the math together so you guys can, if you don't know how to do this, you can bust out your calculator. Let's say you're a woman, 1,500 calories per day. So we divide that by 60%. So that ends up being 900 calories. And then you divide 900 by 4 because there's 4 calories per gram of carbohydrates. So that would be 225 grams of carbohydrates for that woman. 1,500 divided by 20 for protein. That's 300 calories from protein divided by 4, 75 grams of protein. Plenty for a woman that needs 1,500 calories. Lastly, 1,500 divided by 20 divided by 9, because there's 9 calories per gram of fat. That is basically 34 grams of fat. So when we keep fat low and carbs high, we get a cranking thyroid, we get all those longevity hormones, a boosted metabolism, and you literally can't put on body fat if you keep fat that low. It's essentially physiologically impossible because you would have to eat so much fruit. You can't gain weight on fruit. It's just not possible. Fruit has a kind of built-in satiating effect. Fructose actually has a built-in satiating effect. And here's the other cool thing about fruit, James, I don't think we've mentioned on any of our episodes yet, is that fructose, which is again unique to fruit, it kind of has VIP access to your liver, meaning it doesn't use any insulin. And most people don't know this, James, but fruit has about 50% glucose, 50% fructose. And so if you have a banana, let's say, that has 28, I think, or 30 grams of sugar, a doctor will just say, oh, 30 grams of sugar, bad. You're diabetic, don't eat bananas, which is the worst advice ever, because actually only 15 of those grams are going to enter your bloodstream, because the other 15 belonging to the fructose have VIP access into the liver, get processed right away. And that's why they have so many hormonal benefits. And so then on top of that, you have all the fiber from the fruit, which slows down the impact of the blood sugar, right? The sugar in your blood. And so that's why fruit gives very small blood sugar, not even spikes, but just kind of lifts. And then they come down very quickly when you're not eating protein or fat with them. So fruit in isolation cures blood sugar issues, cures insulin resistance, and therefore type 2 diabetes and these kinds of conditions. So it's just the healthiest possible thing anybody can do for themselves is to eat lots of fruit in isolation. And that's the premise here. 60% carbohydrates, mostly from fruit. You can do rice for dinner. I get about 100 grams of my carbs from rice. And then 20% protein, 20% fat. Moving on.
And folks, again, the only way you're going to fail at this is if you don't measure your fat. Like you really, because it's so easy to overconsume fat from nuts and seeds and oil. It is so easy. I implore you all to be very diligent and mindful of your fat consumption. Start measuring it out so you have an idea of what you're actually consuming, because this is what I did. I would eyeball the olive oil when I cooked. And then I'm with Aaron and he's like, bro, you're using like a ton of olive oil. I'm like, oh, really? And so so I'm warning you, don't make the mistake I made.
Yeah, it's a very easy mistake to make. Fat is sneaky, and there's trace fats. Even in fruit, a banana has like 0.5 grams of fat. So you're going to get some fat. We just want to leave the fat sources for after about 3 p.m. ideally. So core principles here: no alcohol, no processed or junk food. That should be obvious. We want to keep our vessel pure, right? Your body is a temple. Of course, harm-free eating, so no flesh. If you're going to have eggs and milk, you must source them from a local farm or somewhere that you can verify is not using harmful practices with their animals, treating their animals with kindness. Another core principle is to eat organic and local and seasonal as much as possible. So try not to eat food that comes from far away. That's not always possible in our modern day. And it's far better to get fruit from far away than no fruit, right? It's not a win for you to say, oh, bummer, I can't get any locally grown fruit because I live in, I don't know, Seattle or something. And so I'll just not do it. Like, what a huge loss. Like, eating fruit from far away is still way better than eating no fruit. So get your fruit however you can, but just if you can get organic fruit that's local, that's the best. And that's what the Essene Gospel of Peace kind of lays out, what Jesus lays out in the diet. Organic is another one, James, we haven't touched on. There's a really cool hack, you guys. If you can't get organic fruit, or if you just want to save a little bit of money, or even organic fruit is not that expensive, but if you can't get organic fruit, then you can rinse or soak your fruit in baking soda water. So you get a little bowl or whatever, put all your blueberries or strawberries in that, and put a couple tablespoons of baking soda in there and just let it sit for like 20, 30 minutes, and it'll pull all the toxins out of the fruit. And it's cool, James, because I saw a study where they did this and they compared the toxin level or toxicity level of non-organic fruit that was soaked in baking soda and with organic fruit. And the organic fruit only had a few percentages less toxicity in it. So it was like, 90% toxin free versus 84% or 85%. So it's like, hey, you're basically making your fruit organic when you soak it in baking soda. So you might as well do that if you can't get your hands on organic fruit.
It also keeps your fruit fresh and so crispy and delicious. I was blown away when I started doing this at how effective it is and how much tastier and long lasting my fruit is. So I highly recommend that hack. Aaron, it's interesting. If you scroll up a little bit to these core principles, a lot of it reminds me of James the Just, Jesus's brother, the first leader of the church. He didn't drink. He was a lifelong vegetarian. And if we add the principle of sexual transmutation, when James the Just gave the, core principles for the early Christian movement at the Council of Jerusalem, what did he say? The first one was no sexual fornication, or, refraining from sexual immorality. And then the other three were about how we treat animals. So I just wanted to say that to reiterate that this Jesus40 challenge is really rooted in ancient Christian tradition, the first Christian tradition. We're not pulling this out of our butts. Like, this is real original Christianity.
Oh, yes. And if you don't believe us, go watch the Jesus Diet Part 1 and you're welcome. The last core principle is minimal cooking of your food or freezing of your food. So, these are flexible. Like, I'll have frozen blueberries in my protein shake, a couple times a week. We cook our vegetables, we steam them a little bit. The idea is just cook your food as little as you can, because if you're like deep frying your food and really overly cooking it, like just sizzling it in a pan, you're kind of cooking out a lot of the nutrients. So like steaming your vegetables is a really good way of cooking them, or even boiling them in water, I think is pretty good in terms of the nutrient value that it preserves. There are some vegetables or foods that actually activate more nutrients with a little light cooking. So, this isn't a dogmatic thing, guys. We don't want to create another stupid fundamentalist dogmatic religion you have to follow or you feel guilty about it. Don't feel guilty if you cook your food or eat frozen food. Don't feel guilty if you're eating fruit from far away, if you can't get organic or local. These are just recommendations that will greatly enhance the efficacy of the diet for you, but it's not like you're a failure if you can't meet all these criteria, okay? Just want to be clear about that. Now let's move to the fitness protocol, James. So this is the part where we tried to really imagine what kind of activity level would an ancient Essene have. And the first one is obvious, right? Ancient people walked a crap ton. They probably walked a minimum of 20,000 steps a day on like an easy day. And most people in the ancient world probably walked 30,000 steps a day on average. So it's like, try to be overweight walking 30,000 steps a day. It is utterly impossible. And in fact, you'd be very fit walking that much per day. So we're just advocating for you to walk 10,000 steps a day. 10,000 steps is kind of the marker that most fitness enthusiasts and experts say is a really good number to hit if you want to lose weight and start dropping body fat, because walking is very muscle sparing. It doesn't put any like sort of glycolytic demand on your muscles. It's very aerobic rather than anaerobic. So there's really no risk of muscle wasting unless you're just malnourished. So walking 10,000 steps a day is the first part of the fitness protocol. And then 3 days a week, we want you to do some kind of body strengthening. So that could be weightlifting, like James and I like to do, high intensity interval training, yoga, kettlebells, or just resistance training of some sort. The Essenes were very active people. They all had day jobs. Some of them were carpenters, stonemasons, builders, engineers, all kinds of things. But we know that they were mostly day laborers, right? So they probably did a lot of physical activity, lifting objects and things like that. So they're probably very fit and strong. So to live the kind of Essene lifestyle, which again is the goal of the Jesus diet, we want to mimic those 120-year-old plus Essenes that everyone wrote about in the first century. We're going to live like them. We're going to walk 10,000 steps a day, which would still be like very little for an Essene. And we're going to do 3 body strengthening sessions per week. You can definitely do more, but to accept the challenge, you're going to do 3. The beginner version, if you're, very overweight or coming from a complete inactivity level, is to walk 8,000 steps a day and just do 3 body weight workouts per week. So that could be yoga, body weight exercises like push-ups, assisted pull-ups, squats, lunges, planks. I used to be a personal trainer, James, as I've said before. And one of the things I would do for very overweight, like morbidly obese clients, is just like a simple sit to stand. If you get on the edge of a seat or like a low couch cushion, somewhere that your hip crease is about parallel with your kneecap when you sit down, then you can just do 3 sets of 10 or 15 sit to stands, right? Where you just sit there and you stand up and you sit back down and you stand up and you sit back down. You can do that plus, 10 or 15 horizontal push-ups on your kitchen counter, get at an angle, something that's moderately challenging. Just do something with your body weight to move your body and strengthen your body. That's the idea. So that's the scaled down version. And then we have a full version just to kind of help you guys out if you're coming from a background without much physical fitness. Anything you want to say on that, James, before I transition to the last section here?
Yeah, I would just reiterate and add to what you just said. The power of bodyweight workouts is incredible. You can really see tremendous progress, even just doing a couple air squats throughout the day. Once an hour, just doing a couple air squats first thing in the morning. It really helps with the lymph and the blood flow. And if you start stacking up those little victories, really the whole thing with this Jesus40, it's all about building momentum and establishing positive habits. So if you're starting from 0, a state of inactivity, bad diet, just checking off some little boxes, just get some little victories, do a couple air squats, do a couple push-ups, and then you start building your confidence. If you're rolling a boulder, it's really hard to get the boulder rolling, but once you have momentum, once it's rolling, then it becomes an unstoppable force. So just focus on little victories every day with this lifestyle, and soon you will become an unstoppable boulder rolling down a hill.
An unstoppable force. Love it. So that brings us to the third and final aspect of the challenge, which is just a daily spiritual practice. 10 to 20 minutes of contemplative prayer, which is really like meditation, as we've said. But we did a full episode on contemplative prayer, and we gave you 3 specific formats of contemplative prayer, which to us, it is the staple spiritual practice for the Jesus way. We believe that Jesus went to the wilderness often to do contemplative prayer. There's the passage we've read in Acts chapter 10, where Peter goes onto the roof to do some contemplative prayer and falls into a deep meditative trance and has a vision. There's lots of other evidence we could name that contemplative prayer was the primary practice for the Nazarene Jewish Christian first disciples of Jesus. So that's why we want to do it. The Essenes were known for doing this and had their own, communion with the angels that we've gone over as well. So if you want some real high-level advice on what contemplative prayer is, we would recommend watching the Jesus Way podcast episode, which I don't remember the number offhand. Might be like episode 8 or 9. I'll put the link in the description after this live so you guys can use that as a cheat sheet sort of. But yeah, just spend 10, 20 minutes contemplating the nature of God. And we really go to those 5 O's of God's ontology, right? God is one, God is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, and omnibenevolent, meaning God is one and cannot be divided. You can contemplate the oneness of God in all things. God is omnipotent. God has all power. You can contemplate that in prayer and praise that aspect of God in prayer. God has all knowledge. God is the divine mind that encompasses everything and knows everything. God is omnipresent. There is nowhere that God is not. And finally, God is omnibenevolent, all loving, all good. If you contemplate these ontological qualities of God, they have profound effects on your spiritual awareness and maturity. And so we just want you to spend at least 10 minutes a day doing that, preferably 20, and preferably to start your day. But that brings us to the second part of the challenge, which is, if you can, do it in sunlight. There's some real powerful synergy, you guys, when you meditate or pray in the sunlight. And so if you can't do that, during your prayer, then just try to get 10 to 20 minutes of sunlight per day, because we believe, as the Essenes did, that sunlight is very important for not only bodily rhythms like your circadian rhythm and skin health and all of these benefits, but your spiritual health as well. The sun has light codes in it that activates spiritual awareness. And so, like, one of my favorite things to do, James, is actually sun gazing. First thing in the morning when the sun is just rising, and in the evening when it's setting. When the sun is closer to the equator, you can actually stare right into it, and it doesn't have any damaging effects at all to your eyes or your retinas. And it's a pretty amazing experience. You start to feel your brain being kind of suffused with this light code from the sun, and you start to feel spiritually charged from it. And there's a whole host of benefits physically as well for your pineal gland. But yeah, 10 to 20 minutes of contemplative prayer in the sunlight, if possible. And that's the third and final component of the Jesus40 challenge. So to recap, before we close, James, you're going to follow the Jesus diet protocol, as we've been banging on about. You should know it by now, the fasting, the eating, all that stuff. It's in the PDF. Just eat the Jesus diet for 40 days. Then we have the fitness component, walk 10,000 steps a day. You can get counters, by the way, step counters on your phone, pretty easy. And 3 days a week minimum, some type of body strengthening exercise. And then the third component is 10 to 20 minutes of contemplative prayer in the sunlight. That's the Essene way. You're going to live like an Essene for 40 days. And we cannot wait, after these 40 days are up, to not only go over the challenge results and select the winners and all that, but just to do a podcast where we hear from you guys in the chat about all the incredible benefits, physical, mental, and spiritual, that you're going to have from this 40-day challenge. It's going to be amazing. We cannot wait to hear about it. But for those of you participating in the weight loss challenge, we haven't mentioned this yet, so we'll close with this today. You're going to take a picture of yourself in the mirror to show what your physique looks like at the start of the challenge. You don't have to be like scantily clad or something, but make sure you're wearing clothes that are tight fitting if possible, if you're not going to go shirtless or something, to show your body weight at that beginning stage. And then the same exact type of picture for the end of the challenge, 40 days later. On top of that, you're going to take a second picture of yourself on the scale to show your weight on the scale with your feet, so that we know, your weight matches how you look in the mirror. Of course, you can cheat. Yes, you guys can cheat. But if you cheat on a Jesus challenge, guys, come on. There's a pretty interesting karma headed your way. I'll just leave it at that. So 2 pictures, before and after, selfie in the mirror, feet on the scale, before and after. And you guys are going to submit those photos, your before and after photos, 2 photos before, 2 photos after, and let us know your weight and all that at the end of the challenge. So nothing to do at the beginning here, other than just take your pictures before you start. So you guys can take those pictures tonight if you're starting tomorrow, but the Jesus Diet Challenge, the Jesus40 Challenge, will begin tomorrow, Wednesday, and we will go for 40 days. And darn it, James, I was going to ask ChatGPT, what is 40 days from right now? And I didn't, so let's do it live.
Live.
From right now. ChatGPT says, analyzing, November 2nd. Sunday. So we'll end the challenge on November 2nd on Sunday, and then we will begin doing our analyzing of the winners and go from there and do some fun live streams on it. Anything you want to say, James, before we close out?
Well, I'm just so excited to see everyone's transformations. I know that, you know, an attitude of gratitude will take you really far in this on this challenge, and embracing, if any difficulties or resistance comes up, embrace it. Really just say, yes, thank you, God. I love this challenge. If you don't feel good, say, yes, thank you, God. And I promise you'll break through to the other side. If you eat a crappy diet and you're not moving at all right now, there's probably going to be some days where you may not feel the best. Embrace it. Thank God for it. Thank God when you're laying in bed at night that there's a roof over your head and you have a blanket on you. And that, I mean, there's so many people suffering out there horrifically. So you know, a cultivation of gratitude is basically a third spiritual practice you could add to this, just because it will help you succeed in the entire transformation, the entire challenge. So that's my words of advice for everyone.
Got my cup. Begin each day with a grateful heart. That is the true medicine and the true prayer, right? So guys, again, links are in the description below to get started, to get the PDF, and you can keep it on your phone or your computer for reference. But you'll get the swing of it really quick, and we'll be chatting with you guys for the next 40 days in the Jesus Way Circle in 40U. So the link for that will also be in the description. We've got one sort of hub for everybody to talk about how it's going for you, ask us your questions, and that's the place we're going to be answering them. So please don't send questions about the Jesus diet to support@40 University, because our admin doesn't know anything about the Jesus diet, so she doesn't know a lot about it, so she can't really answer your questions. Bring your questions to the Jesus Way Circle in 40U. Again, link is in the description below, and we'll be in there, James and I, on a regular basis each day to answer your questions and make sure you guys are on the same page. All right. I wish we had time for a Q&A, but we got to run to another call. So much love to you guys. Thank you all for co-creating this with us. This is such a fun, unique thing we've never done before. And we're really excited to take this journey with you guys for the next 40 days and see where Yeshua takes us. So enjoy your evening. Let's start off with a bang tomorrow for the Jesus40 challenge. And we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Jesus Way podcast. Peace and love, y'all. Namaste.
Peace.